Yes, my name is Robert Stanley. I have a show on BronxNet called African History, Past, Present, and Thought. Right now I'm not doing the show at BronxNet due to the situations. I guess you all know about the situation or the pandemic, COVID-2. So at this specific time, I'm using another venue to get this information out. Thank you, Robert Stanley. Now, I want to talk about here the president with disrespect. Now, he says Kilpatrick is disrespecting for kneeling on the court where he's protesting quietly against something that is an injustice. It's not unconstitutional to protest, especially not in a nonviolent way. So the point I want to make, if Kilpatrick was disrespectful for not pledging allegiance to the flag, what do you think of a president who says that young people who went to fight in the war are suckers? Now remember, these people are fighting for their country, fighting for a belief, fighting for the flag, something that he didn't want to do, something that he's saying is disrespectful. So if they're disrespectful to the flag, if that type of individual, Kilpatrick, is disrespectful to the flag, what is he doing when he say young men and women who went to war to defend the country are suckers? That's something to think about. Now, you know, I had a friend that went to Vietnam, nice, strong, smart, came back Agent Orange, mind all district, all messed up. And he went to fight for something that he believed in America. Another one of my friends came back, lost the arm. He wasn't right ever since. So if this president that we have, Donald Trump, is saying that this person is disrespectful for not pledging allegiance to the flag, what is he when these young men and women went to war and lost their lives and limbs? What are they? So what is he? How disrespectful is he? Okay? Now another thought that I want you to think about. And they always talk about white superiority. So what are you saying? You want to have white inferiority? Now, you know, you really don't want to get mad at these people for white superiority because you don't really want to get rid of that. So you're saying you would like to be a minority? You would like to be inferiority? No, so not really trying to stamp out like them organizations. Because you was trying to stamp out these organizations, you would do them just like you did the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Now that organization was an organization for self-defense, not for oppressing people's rights. It was an organization that never existed in the first place. And this was a fair country. It existed because black people found there was a need, they have a need to defend themselves. So that's something you need to think about. So they're really not really trying to get rid of the white supremacist organizations. Really, I think they like them. They like them. Like I said before, if you didn't like them, you would have got rid of them like you did the Black Panther organization, Black Liberation Organization. And these was an organization that was for self-defense of people, black people. Drugs and the pandemic. And that's something to think about. There have been pandemics in the black neighborhood for years. It wasn't called a pandemic. And they talk about drugs. I really don't think they're really concerned about drugs. They're not really been concerned about drugs until their children start getting hooked and started on drugs. Drugs been in the black community since the early 1920s. Black people was dying from drugs, ODing, overdosing, was not much heard about it. Only time you heard about it is when Europeans or white people's children start dying from it. That's when it became a problem in our society. Black people, young black people, been dying from drugs for the longest. You hear nothing about it. In the early 60s, when it started affecting the youth, that's when it became a problem. Drugs. What Reagan said, now you listen to his speech. He said the problem is drugs. He also said the problem is poverty. So if the problem is poverty, and the president and they understood the problem was poverty, why did you put the people in jail? Why was all this money spent on putting people in jail and law enforcement agents when jobs could have been created to solve the problem? What you just said, the problem is poverty. So if the problem is poverty, why would you create jails? You would create jobs. Reagan. Now, he was not a good president. He was not a good governor. At one time, the people called him, Mickey Mouse Reagan, because he understood he was a movie star playing the term of a president. One thing, he was not a good president for black people. They had a Social Security office, a complaint office out in California, and the people would complain to get things done. What he had done? He had that office completely removed, so you could not complain. And that was in early 80s. The black farmers was complaining. They drove to Washington, D.C. in their tractors and their farm trucks to protest about what was going on. So, Reagan was not a good president. Wasn't for black people. So one of the times when you think about something, you got to think about, good for who? Good for who? It was not good for us. Like I said, this pandemic with drugs has been going on in the black community. Nobody was no concern. Only concern, like I said, when it started affecting them. That's when this concern came about. Now, we also have another situation. What's been going on for the longest. Black Lives Matter. Black lives always mattered, but it didn't matter to the establishment. Now, let me give you an idea what I meant. A slave ship will have slaves on it, and the British will be patrolling the sea. Now, the slave ship have slaves on them. When the authorities came, they would chain the slaves together and pull them all overboard, men, women, and children, to a watery grave. So when the authorities came, the British authorities came, there was no physical proof, but there was blood, the scent of the slaves, but no physical proof. And they pulled these black men, women, and children chained to the bottom of the ocean, and they all suffocated in a watery grave. That's what I mean when I say that Black Lives Matter. It was cheaper just to go and buy you a new batch of slaves than even save them. That's the term, and I mean that Black Lives Matter. Not that white lives don't matter. All lives matter. But during certain times and period, black lives are so cheaply that it wasn't even considered. If you kill some roaches or bugs, do you write home about it? There's nothing even concerned. Things that was happening to black people, torturous things, was not even in the newspaper. Wasn't even worth writing about. That's what I mean when I say that Black Lives Matter. Let me try to give you another example. Now, some of you all might be able to look this up on YouTube. It was this lady in Louisiana, a socialite. She will buy slaves by the batch. She buy you 12, you get you one free. And she will have performed all kinds of contortions on their bodies, all kinds of cruelties on them. Like I said, she's a woman, she's a socialite, so she has some power and some money. The way it came to find out about her was a fire. It was a fire in her establishment. And the firemen went to put it out. And she told the firemen, no, don't put it out, don't put it out. No. And they said, well, it has to be put out because this fire can catch onto other buildings. Other occupants can die. She said, I don't care, you cannot put the fire out. At the time, it was the police captain. Police chief was coming by, he seen that. And he ordered the fire department to break the door down and put the fire. When they went upstairs, what did they see? The horror. All kind of black men and children tied up in all kind of contortionist positions. She had somebody there that knew how to dislocate bones. And they would take the certain black people, persons, and put them in crab-like positions. So can you imagine being in a crab-like position and your body's not made to be that way? It's not made to move as a crab, but somebody took you and bent your body in these different positions. They found people chained up to stoves, some with maggots coming out their legs because they've been eaten away. Some they found this one man with a hole in his head, maggots eating that in his head. So when we talk about that, that's what I mean Black Lives Matter. We're not talking about as individuals. All lives matter as an individual. White lives matter. Chinese lives matter. All lives matter. I care about my child as you care about yours. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we're not talking about white lives doesn't matter. We're talking about things that happen to us as a whole. Black people, you can buy, they was able to be bought. Yet sometime, also during the Christmas season, I guess, I don't know, maybe the slaveholders in a good mood. They would offer certain slaves money. If you can make it across without getting shot, you can be free. But they came out with enough of dogs and hounds and guns that you basically wouldn't even make it. And a lot of times, if you didn't make it, they didn't keep your promise anyway. They would have the slave patrols to pick you up. But they basically didn't do that. They basically kept your word. Because at Christmas time, you can't have no fun. The fun would be like, if you can make it, make it up the plantation, make it up north, make it, you're free. That was just a game, but if you did get caught, you were shot. So black lives doesn't even matter. It was just something to play with. So like I said before, we're not saying that lives of other people doesn't matter. You're just showing how black lives came real cheaply. Black people have been killed by the police a long time ago. It didn't even make the paper because it wasn't even considered. And I'm sure as an individual, you probably could think of your friends, family, or neighbors that was killed by police. You didn't read nothing about it in the paper. So we don't want you to think this is some new phenomenon. Black people being murdered by the police. Black people being murdered by other white people. You couldn't even get a court case going. They said you was wasting the court's time. They had cases in the court where black women being raped, and they say a negress is over sex. She can't be raped. Why are they taking up this court's time? And they would play with the idea that, oh, she's a nigger, she can't be raped, she's oversexed. And then when they would finish having fun, they would toss the case out and have you, the complainant, the victim, pay for the court costs. Say you're wasting the court's time. Black people, one time you could just kill them as bugs. It wasn't considered enough. They was your property. So you know how you do your own property? If you buy you a car, air conditioner is yours. If you like to take that air conditioner home and break it up, who can say anything to it? Say anything about you is your money. So that's how slaves was thinking of. And this attitude still pertains today. that black lives do matter. It's not that we're saying that other lives don't matter. And I know the police got this new thing going. Blue lives matter also. All lives matter. But all lives matter. So when we say black lives matter, you got to look at it in different type of detail. Because black people are just considered something that you can buy and dispose of that you like, with no consequences. Thank you. Right now I want to move on to another subject for a few minutes there. And that is the new president. Yes, we have a new president, but I'm going to tell you something. The president we just had, Donald Trump, people of color should have been aware of him from the beginning, before he even ran for president, before he even got nominated. Why I say that? I say that because I guess some of y'all can remember, it's not that long ago, the Central Park case, where he took out an ad in the paper that these young black boys should be hung for allegedly raping this white woman. And remember, they didn't find no evidence, no DNA evidence of these young men raping this black woman. Remember, they was underage. They supposed to have counsel. Or the parents there. No, they wasn't. He took out an ad that they should be hung. Now, like I stated before, black women was raped. You couldn't get anything done about it. It was considered a joke. How could you rape a Negress? They're oversexed. And then when they was finished tossing and playing with the idea, they just tossed it out. And black people should be aware of that alone. He shouldn't even got nominated for President of the United States. Now what catches my attention, so that most of the monies that they make is from poor people, who's more poor than black folk, is on a slot machine. And he took I think that's a mighty gamble for him to say that them black boys should be hung. I say that because most black people go to those slot machines, and you would definitely alienate yourself away from your income by making a statement like that. Now, neither he had to be a very bold person or a very stupid person. I'm sure it was counsel in both ways. They would say to him, yo, you just can't say that. Because you alienate your base, you alienate your people that's going to bring you money. And also, you know, a lot of old people go there. And Atlantic City is not the only casino. You got 11 other casinos that's in walking distance. And what I mean by walking distance, a lot of these old people, they consider that exercise. They go to the casino and they take their walkers and walk from one casino to another. They consider that month-to-month exercise. And for you to make a statement that these young black boys should be hung for that. I'm sure a lot of people in the South who can tell you of things that happen to black people, or horrendous things that happened to black people with nothing done. Like a friend of mine lived in the South. She told me it was these young black boys was mountain folks. Mountain folks. They came, they found out who this child was. The two sheriffs had him tied up. His father begged for his life because he knew what was going to happen to his son. Begged for his life. They took the butt of the rifle and smashed he broke his jaw. Said, we're going to teach you a lesson, boy. You don't sass the black white folks. They took the gun, the shotgun, and blew his head straight off. Came out the other side. You know? And I guess I don't know how you can teach him a lesson because he's dead now. You understand? That's Black Lives Matter. Nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. I'm going to give another example of Black Lives Matter. A friend of mine also was telling me they was on their way in the South. They had to urinate. So when the bus stopped, the guy went behind the bus, by the bus wheel, and urinated. They called the cops on him. The cops took him out the bus, kneeled him down, and took the rifle butt and bashed both of his eyes out. What happened to him? Nothing. So when we say Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about instances like that. There's many. And I'm sure that people in the South, even up north, can tell you of incidents that happened to black people. That's what we mean by Black Lives Matter. All lives matter. But when it came to us, went very cheaply. So, at this specific time, I'm not going to prolong the time, but what I want to do, I'm going to talk about our new president. I guess you know who the new president is. So we talking about Donald Trump, then obviously we talking about the new one that just came in. I don't know if it's 45 or 46. I believe it's 45. Right? New one's 46.
46.
Okay. My director here let me know it's 46. But everyone's what it is. Now he says that he's grateful to black people for voting for him. Now most of the presidents do. They say that, yes, we're grateful. But what do you do for the black people after you get in? Of course you're grateful. I'm sure that you was all agreed when you came to find out that you was president-elect. So I'm sure you would say anything, because you was in your cocoon of joy, being elected as the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world. I didn't really realize how much power that particular president has, or the presidency has. So if you think about the president had that much power, then some of people are familiar with history, then you would think that how much power did Charlemagne have when they made the Magna Carta? The Magna Carta was to limit the power of that king. So if they had that much power then, or the president has that much power now, that he could just dismiss people on his right, on his rights. So imagine how much power we have now. But imagine, just think about this. Imagine you of alleged crime. Not convicted, it's alleged. You can't tell the prosecutor, no man, you can't investigate my case. You under investigation as the President of the United States, at the highest office in the world, to protect America from all types of terrorism, especially foreign terrorism. Your main problem is Soviet Union. And you able to fire the person that's investigating you? That's just too much power. That's too much power. You are alleged to conspire with America's enemies. Soviet Union is America's enemy. I ain't say black folk. They ain't your enemies. We ain't did anything to you. These are other white folks that's striving for power. White power striving for more white power. That's what that is. So that doesn't really do with us. And Mullins is able to be fired because he's investigating something that he feels is wrong with America's main enemy, the Soviet Union. Something wrong with that. Something wrong with that. And also, Kamala. Now, I voted for her because she's a woman. Well, I voted for her first. Well, first I'm going to say because she's a woman. I don't want to say because she was black. Because you may be black don't mean you have the right mindset and right mind agenda. So I voted for her because she's a woman. She'll break the mold. It's a male-dominated profession. So we put a woman in there and see what she can do. And we're going to put a black woman in there. That should probably make them extra man. A woman and a black woman. Well, we want to see how conscious she is as a black woman. What is she going to push forward for us? And one of the main things we need pushed forward for us. I ain't hear nothing about it. Maybe they did. But I've been listening to debates, not off and on, but I've been listening to debates constantly. I ain't thinking about reparations. Maybe I went to the bathroom. Maybe they talked about it. Ran, took a little leak real quick, came back. Maybe they mentioned, maybe I missed that. But that's something very important. What are we going to get as black people in America? Remember, we came here, we got off the boat 16 minutes, it's 19 minutes after you got off the boat. They got off that Mayflower, looked around, said, oh, this is a lot of work. They went there and got some black servants that had every day and looked around and got something done. That's that day. So just to say that we have a black president, and we had 250 years, or close to 40 years here in this hemisphere, that's nothing real great. Now I can see you said we had the first Chinese president, the first Soviet president of the United States, naturalized citizen of a Soviet. Then I could say something. Not when we came here in 19, got off the boat, 19 minutes after you. Of course, we worked under different circumstances of racism. But Kamala Harris, and what she needs to do, is set the stage for other black people to become presidents of the United States. You know how I look at it? We need to do it just like we do sports. Dominate the field. Now, we don't want to dominate the field with any type of black person, because you got to have the right type of black people in. Black people are conscious, because you can get a whole lot of black folks in, and they got a European agenda. And you just be in trouble with black folks pushing forward a European agenda. So we got to make sure that we got the right type of black person in. So I'm going to be watching Kamala Harris. I'm saying her name right. No, I don't want to mispronounce it. That she pushes for black people's rights. Push for black people and also push for reparations. Something that we deserve, something that we earn. I can't remember exactly who it was at the moment. But he was stating that black people need laws. They need funds just pertaining to them. Not everybody else, not all other minorities. All these other minorities didn't catch help like we did. All these other minorities is benefiting from civil rights. Something that we had to strive for. Something we had to march for. Something we had to get our heads busted for. Something we had to die for, beat up. So we need laws, not acts. Say act just like the word says. Civil Rights Act. An act is something that you can change. It needs a law. Because once something becomes a law, it's very hard to change. Law that pertains to us and what we can get as people of color who help build America from the ground up. Other people say, oh yeah, we come. They would say, this was the only people that had Irish. At one time they said, the Irish are indispensable. Just like the blacks are indispensable. Because in Europe, it's considered the Negroes, the niggers of Europe. When they came in America, they put them in the police force. Sometimes I explain that to you. I'll go in detail and explain the difference between a patrolman and a policeman. But right now, I just want to stay on the subject. So Kamala Harris needs to help and fight for laws for black people. What we deserve as African Americans, because we built this country. It was on the backs of black people. Somebody say, why are you talking about black people so much? Because you might not see, you see right here, I'm black. You understand? So I'm concerned. You understand? And it's not racist to be concerned about your own people. Now I'm going to give you another example. You might be on the train, people come through, they be begging, you might give them a quarter, might give them 50 cents, might be $1. Might even be a good move if you don't got paid. Give them $5. Give them $5. But what did you do with your paycheck? You take your money home to take care of your family. So think about black folks first. It's just like that. I'm black. I'm looking out for other people on the train. Give them $4 or $5 if I can, 3 or 4. A majority of my paycheck will go to what? My family. So black people need to understand we got to look out for our family first. Now at this time, I'm not going to prolong it, because I'm planning to make many more, explain all different types to you, about all great black people and their deeds, stuff they don't even want to tell you about. Now, they got a film I seen, it was a really good film. It was called Figures. Now, this film, what it's about, was showing how all these black women got together. They was all college graduates. How they got together when they worked on the Project for America. The project of putting the first man in space against the Soviet Union. And these women learned and studied. You know, they was, I guess you can call it, there's the cream of crop as far as education in their field. And they worked on this project to help put, was it John Glenn in space in 1960? You didn't even know about that. Because they don't want you to even know about the great things we done as black people. You know, John Glenn personally congratulated these women. Congratulated them to help them go up in space to fight the Soviet threat. The Soviet threat. It's not a real threat. It's just a threat of white people against other white people who want to take over the world. What white folks want to be in charge? Who's the white folks that's next in charge? Who's in charge first? That's what that was about. And these black people, black women,